Hi everyone, welcome to Samjho IS. This is Rohit Dagar. In this video, we'll be discussing about seismic waves. How are they caused? What are the different types of seismic waves? What are the properties of seismic waves? And we'll be covering this topic in entirety. I know you would have watched many videos, and in all those videos, you would have felt that seismic waves is not being covered in great detail by a lot of teachers. We will try to cover all the basic and the advanced concepts in this video. Alright, let's begin. Right, so first, what are seismic waves and how are they caused? You know what are earthquakes, right? A sudden movement in motion or shaking of the Earth's crust at specific fault lines where tectonic plates meet or collide can cause a release of energy. Now, we've already discussed in a previous video that these fault lines or these foldings can happen in terms of mountains. There can be folding where two plates are meeting and this point can cause earthquakes. There can be faulting where two particular plates are moving apart. There can be transform boundaries where two plates are rubbing against each other. Anyways, we'll move ahead with the video. Now this energy, when released, has to travel in all directions till it reaches the surface of the earth, as the earth is a sphere. These waves of energy are called seismic waves. Now before we move on to the concepts that are very advanced in terms of seismic waves, let me ask you a few questions and let us delve into certain basics of this topic. Since we've already established that these waves are traveling in all directions inside the Earth's crust, does it mean that they would reach different parts of the Earth's surface at the same time or with the same intensity? Is it true? Would that mean that a person feeling an earthquake at this location would be exactly same as the person feeling an earthquake at this place? These are thousands of kilometers apart on the Earth's surface. Would they feel the earthquake with the same intensity at the same time? This is what we need to understand in terms of the seismic waves and their properties. Now remember, everything it begins at a specific point below the Earth's surface in the crust, and this specific point is called focus. The point on the Earth's surface exactly above the focus is called epicenter, the nearest point on the Earth's surface which is close to the focus. You can locate the epicenter on the GPS with a map and by knowing the latitude and longitude, but you can't locate the focus because focus is below the Earth's surface. Now when we talked about subduction zones in one of our previous videos where we were talking that one particular tectonic plate was subducting beneath another tectonic plate. So this portion is where you could find a focus. This particular place is where it could cause an earthquake and people living above the surface would get to know. First, that would be the epicenter for the earthquake. If I try to plot it here, let's say this is where the focus is, where the earthquake originated, and this is the closest place above the Earth's surface where the epicenter would be located. One more thing, would these seismic waves travel in straight lines or would they curve as they move through the denser material or at different densities? Would they go straight or they bend, or would they go through the mantle and the core, or in a different way? Which one is applicable? This is what we need to discuss. And coming back to the same question that we just discussed, if an earthquake occurs in Nepal, let's say at this location, would a person sitting in USA feel the earthquake with the same intensity at the same time? Does that mean that seismic waves which travel long distances? What is happening here? Let's dwell deeper into the properties of seismic waves to answer these questions. There are certain factors which drive the seismic waves, on which the seismic waves depend. The first one would be velocity or speed, then the amplitude, the frequency, the wavelength, path of travel or direction, and the last one could be attenuation. First, the velocity or the speed of waves. It depends on the properties of the material it travels through, its density, elasticity. Higher the density, the denser the material, higher would be the velocity of the waves passing through it. And next is amplitude. See, amplitude decreases with depth and hence shows less impact. Frequency. The high frequency waves lose energy more quickly. So if a wave has high frequency, it would die down sooner. Then the wavelength. See how waves interact with materials. It is known by wavelengths. Shorter the wavelengths, they scatter more. Then the path of travel and direction. Now you must be wondering, what are these 4 points and why are we studying this? All of this would make sense. Just have patience for 2 more minutes. Then the path or direction of travel. See, traveling through the crust is different as compared to traveling through the core. We know this is the core and it is in liquid form. This is really important because our crust is in solid form. And I told you that the velocity or the propagation would depend on the density. Right now, just remember solid versus liquid, and we will come back to this. Then attenuation. As seismic waves move away from the source, they spread and they lose energy. This is known as attenuation. Now, does this attenuation point help you understand that why certain waves may reflect or refract at certain points, depending on the density of the material they are passing through, the distance they are traversing? There could be a possibility that the intensity would be different as compared to a Nepal, which is very close to the earthquake, right above the focus at the epicenter, and a USA where the waves took a lot of time and may have reflected, died down, slowed down, lost their energy. Eventually, the intensity of the waves reaching that particular place would be very, very small. Then you would think that would USA ever notice a seismic wave which is being started at Nepal? The answer is yes. Although a human may not notice a tremor, but a seismograph, which is specifically a device used to notice, measure and understand the seismic waves at different points on the world, may catch a very small wave, understanding that this is a seismic wave. And why is it important? See, it helps us find out the intensity of the earthquake on the Richter scale. It helps us find out the epicenter, because different seismographs at different locations on the earth would get the waves at different intervals. They can trace it back to where the epicenter could be present or the focus would be present. It helps us understand the interior of the earth as well, which is a very important point because there could be some discontinuity in between. These discontinuity would ensure or enforce change in velocity or direction or intensity of the waves. So the wave would be different from natural expectations. That would give us an idea there could be some different material in the path with a different density reflecting the wave or slowing down the wave. That could help us map what is the interior of the earth. Right, so we'll come back to this in a while. Let us quickly understand what are the different types of seismic waves. See, there are two specific types of seismic waves. First is a body wave, second are surface waves. Body waves can be of two types, primary waves or P waves, or secondary waves or S waves. Again, surface waves can also be of two types. The first one is love waves or L waves. The second is relic waves or R waves. Now, let's look at body waves first. These are the waves that originated from the focus and are moving towards the surface. On the other hand, the surface waves are those which originated at the surface. After the body waves reached the surface, they created the environment for surface waves to originate. So first we have to discuss about body waves. See, body waves are of two types, primary waves and secondary waves. As the name would suggest, primary waves are the ones which have primarily generated and reached the surface faster. Secondary waves are those which reach later than the primary waves. So P waves and S waves. These P waves are the fastest, I would say roughly about 5 to 8 kilometers per second. These are longitudinal waves like sound waves because the displacement of material is parallel to the propagation of waves. This means that if the wave is moving in this direction, the particles that are there in between the material it is passing through, they would displace, and they would displace either in the same direction or in the opposite direction. This is the wave. These are the particles that it is passing through. These are also compressional waves because when they are propagating, they are compressing or elongating the particles that are there in between. The velocity of the P waves is highest in solid, then liquid, then gas. Always remember, this is very important because the velocity of P waves, when I talk about three mediums, it means that it passes through all solid, liquid, gas, which is not the case for secondary waves. The secondary waves are slightly slower than the primary waves. It propagates at about 3 to 4.5 kilometers per second, These are also known as transverse waves as they follow a pattern like a water ripple. They can pass through solid only and not liquid, which is very important. This is unlike the P waves. The reason is that liquid does not support up-down motion or transverse motion. Now you would say, what is this transverse motion? If a wave is propagating in this direction, I would say the perpendicular motion, either in the same plane or in the perpendicular plane. Both cases, particle motion is possible. Side to side or up down, particles will move perpendicular to the wave propagation direction. This is the case of secondary waves. Before we move on to the surface waves, I would like to show you how these primary and secondary waves propagate inside inner Earth. Right, so P waves versus S waves. Let's first look at P waves. Again, this is the focus. The P waves start propagating and they would bend, as I showed you and I've already discussed. It would bend in the Earth's crust and reach the Earth's surface at different locations like this. What happens at the core? Although it would be refracted, but it would go past the core, the liquid core. This is what we will notice. On the other hand, the S waves would propagate in a different manner. They would bend just like the P waves in case of the Earth's crust, but it would not propagate outside the Earth's crust. It would not pass through the liquid core. What is the extent of this propagation? Let's say this is 0 degrees just above the focus and this is 180 degrees from both directions. Again, this is 0 degrees, this is 180 degrees. If you notice that in case of the P waves and S waves propagating through the Earth's crust, this is the maximum extent. 105 degrees on both sides is where the waves would propagate through the Earth's crust. And in the case of S waves, since they can't pass through the liquid core, we would say that this entire zone is a shadow zone. There is no wave propagating through it. On the other hand, for P waves, this entire zone is a shadow zone. No wave is propagating through it in the case of an earthquake. These are known as shadow zones. So the shadow zones for both the P waves and S waves are different. For P waves, it is between 105 degrees to 145 degrees on both sides. On the other hand, for S waves, it is beyond 105 degrees. Now we're talking about P waves and S waves and we're talking about the internal structure of the Earth. So these are the body waves. So what are the surface waves? When a wave propagates to the surface, this entire portion where the waves would propagate on the surface are surface waves. The surface waves are possible only above the Earth's surface. And these are of two types, the love waves and the relic waves. The love waves or the L waves are the fastest surface waves. They are not the fastest among all the waves, but they are fastest surface waves. The particles in this case move in horizontal plane, but perpendicular to the direction of the motion. And these are the most devastating out of all the waves, body and surface. Now what does this mean when we say that these are perpendicular in a horizontal plane? Let's say we are talking about the surface of the Earth and this is the propagation of the direction of the wave. The particles would move in horizontal direction on the same plane. They are not moving in vertical direction. This would cause catastrophic shaking of the Earth and cracking. A lot of devastation would happen. Then the relic waves or the R waves. These are just like water waves. A rolling effect like in a lake or an ocean. A swinging effect which would cause most shaking on the surface and cause damage to buildings and everything. But they are less devastating as compared to the love waves. Now that we've understood what are P waves, S waves, L waves and R waves, let's go back to our properties that we were discussing. First thing first, the velocity and speed. Which wave would have the highest velocity? P is greater than S, is greater than L, is greater than R. Always remember this. This is the sequence of how the velocity or the speed would be counted in terms of the waves. When we talk about the amplitude, always remember the surface waves have an amplitude which is greater than the body waves. If you're confused what amplitude and wavelength is, consider a sine curve where you would see the wavelength between two consecutive crests or troughs and the amplitude which shows the height in layman terms as to how high or big is the curve. So if I plot the frequency, you would notice that this is the P wave, this is the S wave, and these are the surface waves. So the surface waves would have the highest amplitude. Hence, it would cause the largest impact. When it comes to frequency, the body waves have greater frequency as compared to the surface waves. You can understand this in terms of amplitude only, it would be inverse. And when it comes to wavelength, always remember P waves have the shortest wavelength. When it comes to the path or the direction of travel, always remember surface waves travel along the surface and body waves travel inside the Earth's crust. And since the surface waves are traveling on the surface of the Earth, their energy would dip slowly. And always remember, P waves can travel through solid liquid gas with their velocity in the same direction, and S waves can travel only through solid. Coming back to the same discussion, this is the last discussion that we are going to have in this video. We are again getting back to the significance of the seismographs. See, the seismographs look at the difference between the P and S waves that they catch. This is known as the SP interval, because the P wave would arrive first, this is the primary wave, the S wave would arrive second. So distance they have traveled, the difference in the interval would help us understand certain factors like where the earthquake occurred, what was the intensity, where the epicenter was, why they came late. If we know where the epicenter is, there must be some different material inside the Earth's crust or the core that would have caused this. These calculations can be made with the help of SP interval. Right, so this was all that we were supposed to discuss in terms of seismic waves. I hope you enjoyed watching the lecture. See you in the next one. Thank you.